On the first day of the new spring semester, a high school boy finds himself in an unfortunate situation. As class is about to begin, he realizes the girl sitting next to him is the infamous student known as the human landmine. Her doll-like skin, sorrowful expression, and rosy-hued bags under her eyes give her a dangerous yet unmistakable aura. Kuroki had never interacted with her before, only knowing of her through rumors, and is amazed to see her up close. Kuroki, a junior, considered himself to be from a different world than the popular girls. He'd overheard many conversations about Mai Chihara. Other students whispered that she was dangerous, manipulative, and crazy, warning each other that getting caught by her would lead to massive trouble. He never thought he'd get a chance to be so close to her. As he stares, Chihara suddenly looks back at him. Kuroki panics, hoping his staring didn't creep her out. Now caught in her sights, Kuroki wonders why she is looking at him. He frets that he stared too much and might have made her angry. Her stare is terrifying, making Kuroki feel an urge to run away. He feels doomed, thinking it's all over for him. Gathering his courage, he decides he should try to apologize to Chihara. Chihara continues to look directly at him, her gaze unwavering. Kuroki is taken aback by how direct she is. Kuroki's mind races as he wonders what to do. He tries to steel himself, reasoning that it is not a life-or-death situation. Finally, he hesitantly calls out her name. Chihara leans in, her face alarmingly close to his. Startled, Kuroki's eyes are drawn downwards. He quickly rationalizes that because she was so close, there was nowhere else for him to look. Confused, Kuroki wonders what she wants and why he is in this situation. He begins to suspect it might be a prank or some new form of bullying. Recalling the rumors, he worries he might be in danger of being trapped by her. Kuroki starts to panic, thinking this must be what people meant by her being dangerous. As he wonders how to act, he notices she has been staring at him without blinking. Just as he tries to speak, she reaches out and grabs his shoulders. Chihara pulls Kuroki close. She whispers into his ear, asking if she can see his textbook. He agrees to let her see his Algebra II textbook, but nervously tells her that she is too close. After looking at the book, Chihara thanks him and turns away. Relieved, Kuroki realizes his back is soaked with sweat from the encounter. He begins to question if Mai Chihara is really as dangerous as the rumors claim. Kuroki reflects that he still knows nothing about her and wonders about her true nature. Just then, Chihara turns back with a bright smile, offering him a book in return. He hesitantly thanks her. Kuroki is utterly confused when he sees she has handed him a Japanese history textbook. His confusion deepens when the teacher announces that they will be learning about trigonometric functions. As the teacher calls on him to solve a problem, Kuroki finds himself thinking that Chihara is actually quite interesting. Later, Kuroki notices Chihara seems to have fallen asleep, but her eyes are still wide open, giving her a slightly scary appearance. Kuroki is startled to see Mai Chihara staring directly at him. As he watches, a faint, unsettling smile appears on her face as she clenches her fist. Kuroki overhears other students gossiping about Chihara's strange behavior. They whisper that she seems dangerously obsessed with blood, which only serves to frighten them more. Listening to the rumors, Kuroki thinks to himself that Chihara's appearance really does match the image they paint of her. His thoughts linger as class comes to an end. After class, Chihara suddenly gets Kuroki's attention. He watches nervously, calling out her name. To his surprise, Chihara pulls out a long package of gum. She holds it up, leaving Kuroki bewildered. He can't understand what it is or why she would be giving it to him. Kuroki questions if it's really meant for him. Without a word, Chihara rips open the package and takes out a piece of gum. She starts chewing it herself, much to Kuroki's astonishment. As Chihara chews her gum, she then extends the open package to Kuroki. Though he doesn't understand the situation, a certain thought crosses his mind. Kuroki realizes that taking the gum would be an indirect kiss. The thought makes him feel so gross he wants to run home and cry, but another part of him thinks he should be happy about this first-time experience. Feeling it would be rude to refuse, Kuroki accepts the gum. He decides not to overthink things and resolves to take a bite. As he chews, Chihara stares at him intently. She then starts to say something about her past. Kuroki explains that he used to eat gum of the same flavor, so it tastes delicious and nostalgic to him. After a moment of silence, Chihara lets out a strange laugh that Kuroki finds incredibly scary. As she turns to leave, Chihara starts to say his name. She calls out Kuroki-kun and waves, wishing him well for tomorrow. Slightly flustered, Kuroki says he'll see her tomorrow too. He thinks to himself that she's a rather interesting person. Elsewhere, Chihara clicks open a marker. With a satisfied smile, Chihara draws on her arm. She checks off an item on her new semester wish list, greet others. The next goal on her list is to get along with the boy next to me. A summary recalls how Kuroki ended up sitting next to the rumored Jurei girl, Chihara, without understanding her at all. After class, he stands in the restroom, reflecting on how his school life is advancing so rapidly that it feels unreal. Kuroki admits to himself that he's afraid of people with flashy appearances, feeling they hate him for no reason. However, he thinks Chihara might be more than what meets the eye. Just then, he sees her sitting by the window, and she greets him. Kuroki cautiously asks what's the matter. Chihara explains that she saw him and was waiting for him, thinking they could go home together. Kuroki is confused, realizing she was waiting for him right in front of the men's restroom. Kuroki is so shocked by her suggestion that his reaction is delayed. He stammers, asking if she means she wants to go home with him. Chihara simply nods in confirmation, which only flusters him more. After his initial panic, Kuroki's tendency to be blunt takes over, and he openly asks her why she would want to. His direct question seems to catch Chihara off guard. Chihara begins to walk away, staggering unsteadily. Kuroki quickly calls out for her to wait. He then asks if she commutes by train, and she quietly confirms that she does. Kuroki explains that he also takes the train, so he suggests they go to the station together. At his words, Chihara's face lights up with joy and relief, her mouth hanging open in surprise. Kuroki is puzzled by her relieved reaction. Chihara breathes a sigh of relief. She then tells him they should go. As they walk, Kuroki observes her. He begins to think that maybe she isn't as scary as he initially thought. On their way to the station, Kuroki tries to make small talk, asking Chihara if she rides a bike. Chihara explains that she can't ride bikes, and Kuroki excitedly exclaims that he can't either. He immediately regrets his overly familiar response. Chihara puffs up her cheeks happily, seemingly thinking his response means they are like close friends. Kuroki, flustered and embarrassed, tries to correct her impression by pointing out that she also said she couldn't ride one. As Kuroki and Chihara walk home, an awkward silence hangs between them. Kuroki feels immense pressure to say anything to break the tension, believing there is no topic to talk about. He finally musters the courage to address her. When he speaks, Chihara turns to him with a shockingly intense expression. Kuroki is immediately terrified, wondering what he did to make her so angry. Kuroki panics, thinking his plans have failed and he's now scared. Just as he's about to apologize, Chihara points ahead, saying she can see something over there. To his confusion, she specifies that she sees a big cat's butt. Kuroki looks in the direction she's pointing, questioning if it's really a cat. He sees that what she's looking at are actually the large, round manju decorations outside a Japanese confectionery store. Chihara thinks the decorations are two cats piled on top of each other, and Kuroki agrees they look like friends. She then questions if his eyes are okay. She points out that his colored contacts don't have a prescription. Realizing she's right, Kuroki pulls out his glasses and confirms that they are not, in fact, cats. He offers his glasses to Chihara, who puts them on, leaving Kuroki momentarily stunned by her appearance. After a moment of realization, she takes them off. She thanks him and Kuroki stammers out a reply. Kuroki notices that Chihara is blushing intensely from embarrassment. He tries to comfort her by admitting he had trouble seeing it at first too. Still flustered, Chihara apologizes and asks him to forget what happened. As Chihara walks ahead, still wobbling from embarrassment, Kuroki watches her. He finds himself thinking she's pretty cute. He quickly scolds himself for the thought. To move on, he asks if she likes cats, and she agrees that he should forget about what just happened. They arrive at the station, and as Kuroki prepares to head to his track, they say their goodbyes. Suddenly, Chihara stops him and rummages through her bag. She pulls out a thick marker pen. She tells him to present his arm, leaving him completely bewildered and worried about what she's going to do. Chihara draws on his arm, writing out her chat ID, Lovecat Mai. She explains that she wants to talk to him outside of school as well. Kuroki realizes she really does like cats and waves goodbye. A moment later, the full implication of what just happened hits him. On the train, Kuroki is in a state of shock. He repeatedly processes the unbelievable fact that he just got Chihara's contact information. The realization follows him all the way to his front door. As he arrives home, Kuroki announces he's back, still dazed and thinking about how he just got Chihara's contact info. From off-screen, his mom congratulates him. A girl peeks into a room looking for someone. She finally spots Mai Chihara from behind and announces that she's found her. A cheerful girl with blonde hair throws her arm around Mai, happily exclaiming her name and asking what she's up to. She then invites Mai to come to her classroom. In a classroom, Chihara's friend, Chinatsu Iwakura, paints Mai's nails black. Chinatsu compliments Mai, telling her that the black nail polish suits her well and is super cute. Chinatsu gushes to Mai about her new boyfriend, saying how much he loves her. She explains that she almost gave up on dating after a recent breakup, while Mai listens with a dazed expression. Chinatsu continues, blushing as she says her boyfriend is super sweet and doesn't find her annoying. Chinatsu thanks Mai for always listening to her. As she speaks, Mai bites the inside of her cheek hard enough to draw blood, which startles Chinatsu. After finishing the nails, Chinatsu asks to take a picture and Mai agrees. Mai says she will send the picture of the nails to her boyfriend and pretend she painted them. Chinatsu boasts about how quickly her boyfriend reads her messages and decides to show Mai. She sends the photo, and her eyes widen as she sees the red receipt appear instantly. Chinatsu is thrilled by her boyfriend's quick response. Mai gets her attention to ask a question. With a serious stare, Mai asks why Chinatsu sent the message in the first place. Chinatsu explains that couples do it because they want to know what the other is up to. Mai then asks if doing something like that will help Chinatsu get closer to the person she likes. Her friend is left momentarily speechless by the question. Realizing Mai's point, Chinatsu smiles and says she's right. She asks if there's someone Mai wants to get closer to, and Mai nods in response. Chinatsu then offers to help by picking out clothes, doing her makeup, and continuing to paint her nails. Chinatsu reassures Mai that there's no need to worry. Feeling reassured, Mai nods. Chinatsu then suggests they go pick out some clothes after school, and Mai agrees. Later that evening, Kuroki is relaxing at home, thinking about watching a movie before bed. His thoughts are interrupted by a notification on his phone from Chihara. Opening it, he's completely bewildered to find only a picture of a bowl of udon. Unsure how to react to the random picture, Kuroki decides to respond in kind. He sends a photo of his own dinner, deep-fried mackerel. After sending it, he waits nervously until his phone dings with a reply, making him jump. Kuroki reads her response and assumes the interaction went well. He finds it amusing that someone as mysterious as Chihara eats something as normal as udon. Meanwhile, Chihara looks at her phone, which now displays a message telling her to hurry up and take a bath. While walking, Kuroki overhears two classmates talking about a girl they identify as Chihara. One of the students notes that Chihara seems to be the most talked-about girl at school. He continues, suggesting that assumptions are easily made because of her looks and actions. The student adds that her silence only fuels the rumors, but Kuroki thinks to himself that Chihara isn't a troublemaker. Kuroki interjects, defending Chihara by saying she is not as malicious as they think. The two students are left confused, recalling that they saw Chihara fall off her bike on the way to school. One of the classmates calls out to Kuroki to get his attention. They immediately ask him what his relationship is with Chihara-san. Explaining their curiosity, they point out how unusual it is for Kuroki to speak up, especially about Chihara. They begin to imagine a secret romance between Kuroki and Chihara, which makes Kuroki blush. Kuroki internally debates what to tell them, worried that the truth might lead to strange rumors. He settles on a vague answer, stating that she gave him a long one. His classmates' imaginations run wild, picturing Chihara handing him a sword. One classmate is bewildered by the thought, while the other seems oddly nostalgic about it. Kuroki tries to explain that they are just classmates who sit next to each other. His friend retorts that it makes no sense, as the two of them are obviously not a match. He highlights the contrast between the rumored Jurei girl, Mai Chihara, and the perfectly ordinary Kuroki. Kuroki reflects that his classmates do not know about Chihara's different sides. He thinks that he cannot just tell them she can be an airhead sometimes. Remembering an incident involving Chihara spotting cats, Kuroki blurts out that she likes butts. His classmates are shocked by this revelation, their imaginations running wild once again. Laughing, Kuroki remembers another time when she wrote on his body with a marker, saying it was funny. His classmates are shocked, imagining Chihara seductively writing on a flustered Kuroki. He tells his stunned friends that it was then he understood. He explains that the incident made him realize that Chihara really likes cats. The memory shows Chihara gleefully writing, "I love cats" on his torso, leaving his classmates speechless. The two classmates are left in a state of cosmic confusion by his stories. Kuroki concludes that he just thinks she is a funny person. Noticing their silence, he asks what is wrong. His classmates decide it would be better not to ask about it anymore and walk away. Kuroki shouts after them in frustration, wondering why they are leaving, as a note explains he is the worst at telling stories. Kuroki looks at a pack of soft candy, realizing he has not given Chihara anything in return for the gum. He feels that just giving her nothing back in exchange would be rude. Remembering that Chihara often goes to the classroom next door, he decides to look for her. A girl in the classroom notices him and asks what he wants. Startled by her flashy appearance, Kuroki nervously enters the room. He asks if Chihara is there, and the girl recognizes her first name, Mai. The girl explains that Mai went to the infirmary because her head was hurting. After thanking her, Kuroki leaves, and the girl watches him go. As Kuroki walks away, the girl wonders who he was, thinking he acted like a middle schooler. The scene shifts to the infirmary, where Chihara is sitting with an ice pack on her head due to the earlier bike incident. In the infirmary, the nurse finishes treating a wound on Kuroki's head, patting it gently. She reassures him that although he lost some blood, the wound was not deep and there is no need to worry. Kuroki thanks her as she advises him to go to the hospital if he feels anything wrong. He then begins to recall the events that led to his injury. Kuroki remembers walking back to the classroom. He accidentally bumped shoulders with a large judo club member in the hallway. The impact sent the much smaller Kuroki flying, crashing violently through a glass window. The judo club member then carried him away from the scene. Back in the present, the judo club member gloomily apologizes for being careless, but Kuroki insists it was his own fault for spacing out. The student slides Kuroki his contact information, offering to help if he needs anything. The nurse offers to take his infirmary card to his next teacher herself. She tells Kuroki his head must still be spinning and that he should rest a bit more. As he sits on the couch, he hears a rattling sound from the curtains. Kuroki considers resting longer but feels he should go to his next class, which is math. He is startled to see Mai Chihara peeking out from behind them. Sensing a presence, Kuroki stands up abruptly and looks around the seemingly empty room. He stares at the curtains for a moment. He dismisses the feeling as his imagination and sits back down while Chihara shuffles quietly behind the fabric. Suddenly, Chihara is right beside him, asking where he got hurt. Startled by her sudden and silent appearance, Kuroki yelps and stammers a greeting, his heart pounding from the shock. Chihara asks what happened to him, and Kuroki explains that he just bumped his head and lost some blood, but insists it is not a big deal. She asks if it hurts when he touches the wound. He tells her it does not hurt anymore. Before he can answer, Chihara gently reaches out and strokes his hair near the injury. Kuroki is taken aback by the tender gesture and blushes deeply, completely flustered. A flustered Kuroki asks Chihara if she also came to the infirmary because she was not feeling well. She simply confirms this. The nurse enters the room, calling out for Kuroki and mentioning she has spoken to his math teacher. The nurse looks around the silent room, wondering if Kuroki has already gone back to class. As she leaves, it is revealed that Chihara has pulled Kuroki behind the curtain to hide with her, leaving him to wonder why. Just as another teacher calls the nurse away, the two are left alone again. Chihara lets go of Kuroki. She then complains that her own head hurts because she has a bump. A concerned Kuroki asks if she's okay and where the bump is. She misinterprets his concern, asking if he wants to hurt her back and offering to let him flick her head. Kuroki clenches his eyes shut, bracing himself. Instead of a flick, he feels Chihara grab his collar and pull him forward. She then gently pushes him down onto one of the infirmary beds, leaving him confused. A bewildered Kuroki watches as Chihara pulls the curtain shut around the bed. She peeks through the opening, quietly wishes him a good night, and then closes it completely. Kuroki is left alone in the enclosed space. Lying in the bed, Kuroki realizes that Chihara was worried about him. She orchestrated this so he would rest properly. However, her scent now lingers in the small, curtained space, and the flustered boy finds that he is far too aware of it to sleep. A common school phenomenon is described: feeling alone on the first day you befriend the nice person next to you. However, you soon realize they're nice to everyone, leading to the feeling that while they are your only friend, you are not their only friend. This becomes especially apparent when it's time to get into pairs. During English class, the teacher instructs the students to form pairs to read a text together. Chihara, who had been sitting alone, turns suddenly with an intense expression. As the other students begin to group up, one of them calls out to Kuroki. To an outside observer, Chihara appears to be emitting a deadly aura as she sits alone. Kuroki notices her and approaches, looking concerned. He asks if she is okay and nervously suggests that they could be partners. Kuroki explains that the others seem to have already paired up without him. Chihara, initially confused, seems to sparkle with relief at his offer. When he asks if she already has a partner, she quickly replies that she doesn't and thanks him, clearly glad. Sometime later, Kuroki is out buying a cake for his little sister's birthday. He reflects on how his family members all have different tastes in sweets. As he's walking, he's surprised to spot his classmate Chihara. Kuroki hesitates to call out to her, thinking she might be meeting someone and he shouldn't interfere. Just as he decides to leave, Chihara turns and sees him. Before he can react, a cameraman approaches Chihara and asks if he can take some pictures of her. After buying the cake, Kuroki realizes he only had enough money left for a small cream puff for himself. He spots Chihara again and notices she's alone, deciding he should greet her. However, he's interrupted by a small child who starts crying for her mother. Kuroki asks the girl where she last saw her mother, who replies it was at the bookstore. Chihara wants to help, but she hesitates. She remembers past experiences where her fierce-looking eyes have made children cry. Kuroki tries to comfort the crying girl, giving her his cream puff and reassuring her that her mom must be nearby. Suddenly, a person in a bright costume appears. The little girl recognizes the character as Lovely Warrior, and the masked individual confirms her identity. Kuroki realizes it's Chihara in disguise. The little girl points out that Lovely Warrior's hair is pink, so Chihara must not be the real one. Chihara claims to be just a fan. Kuroki is bewildered by Chihara's sudden transformation. She points out a nearby police station. Kuroki realizes she was watching and came to help. Once the child is reunited with her mother, they say their goodbyes. Kuroki thanks Chihara, admitting he didn't know how to handle the situation himself. Kuroki tells Chihara that he feels unreliable. She immediately reassures him that he is reliable. Her reassurance makes him blush. As they walk on, he asks her about her day, and she replies that she went to a cat cafe. The mission to slay the demon lord has fallen to a lone healer, Kuroki. After all his companions abandon the quest, he has finally arrived at the castle. The imposing, creepy castle of the demon lord looms before him, making him question what he can possibly do alone. Despite his reservations, Kuroki decides that he must at least scout the place out on his own. Kuroki cautiously enters the throne room and is stunned to see the demon lord on her throne. He feels a sense of hopelessness, believing no one could possibly defeat her. He panics, thinking he is really in for it now. The demon lord's gaze locks onto Kuroki, who realizes he has been caught. As he accepts his fate, the demon lord moves with surprising speed. She suddenly appears behind him and places him directly onto her lap. Kuroki is completely confused by the demon lord's strange behavior. Instead of attacking, she begins to poke his face. She then starts pinching his cheeks playfully. He soon learned that any attempt to escape would result in his cheeks being pinched, leading him to give up and accept his new life in the castle, pleading for someone to spare him. The school day has reached lunchtime. Kuroki is in the classroom when he notices something. His classmate Chihara is also staying in for lunch. She prepares to eat, lifting a neatly wrapped bento box from her bag. Kuroki finds it unusual for Chihara to be in the classroom, recalling that he's never seen her bring a bento before. He knows that she is usually with someone else. He remembers she's only alone when her friend Chinatsu is absent. As they sit at their respective desks, they open their lunches at the same time. Kuroki recalls that this is the first time he has invited her to eat lunch together. To avoid attracting unwanted attention, they went to the rooftop terrace. As they sit, Chihara asks if coming up here is too much trouble for him. On the roof, they make small talk about the nice weather. Kuroki admits that he was really glad when she first talked to him, as he has few friends. Chihara explains that is why she wanted to return the favor. But as she speaks, she fumbles and drops her chopsticks. The chopsticks clatter to the ground. They then fly over the edge of the rooftop. Kuroki points out that they're gone. Unfazed, Chihara says she'll just eat with her hands, which surprises Kuroki. He quickly offers her his own chopsticks, assuring her they're unused. Chihara asks if Kuroki is okay with eating with his hands, telling him he can just give the chopsticks back when he's done. He insists it's fine since he's a quick eater. She then gets an idea and suggests they take turns eating. The proposition catches Kuroki completely off guard, as he realizes it would be like an indirect kiss. Kuroki begins to overthink the situation, wondering if flipping the chopsticks would hurt her feelings. He reasons that Chihara probably would not mind. He decides that being respectful is the right course of action. While he's lost in thought, Chihara takes the chopsticks herself and casually eats from his bento, remarking on how bad he is at this. Kuroki is confused as Chihara eats from his bento without a word. She quietly munches on the food. She imagines a cute scenario where a best friend would playfully take food from her lunch. Chihara admits she messed up her communication, leaving Kuroki confused. Noticing his bento is filled with mostly brown food. She offers him some of her tamagaki to make up for it. Chihara finds the sweet flavor of his tamagaki strange. Kuroki explains his mother's sweet recipe, and they realize their families make it differently. She mentions her father makes amures when he's in a good mood, which Kuroki thinks is awesome. Chihara then asks Kuroki if he would like to try her father's cooking at her place. She stares at him intently. Kuroki is stunned and speechless at the sudden invitation to her house. Kuroki panics internally, torn between feeling he shouldn't impose and not wanting to refuse her offer. His frantic thoughts lead him to accidentally blurt out a refusal, which he immediately tries to correct, leaving Chihara completely bewildered. Later after class, the setting changes. They arrive at a coffee shop called Genki, and Chihara clarifies that this is her father's shop where she wanted him to try the amures. A cheerful blonde girl, Chainatsu, arrives at Chihara's place at 7 a.m., ready to hang out. Chainatsu playfully corrects herself, saying she's come to use Mai to play, which Mai questions. They regularly meet up for Chainatsu to style Mai with clothes and makeup. Chainatsu offers Mai an energy drink, jokingly saying it's for being late, even though she wasn't. After an intense sip, Mai agrees to the day's activities. She tells Chainatsu to wait while she goes to brush her teeth and wash her face. After Mai prepares, Chainatsu applies a face mask, instructing her to leave it on for 15 minutes. Mai is told to sit patiently like a mannequin. Meanwhile, Chainatsu opens a large suitcase and contemplates which outfit to start with. Chainatsu presents 2 photo options for outfits to a still-masked Mai. Unable to decide, Mai suggests the more intense-looking one. Chainatsu happily agrees with her choice. Chainatsu decides to use certain items as accessories. With her skin prepped and sparkling, Mai is told she can remove the mask. Chainatsu begins to heat up a curling iron, ready to start the full makeup session. The transformation is complete. Mai is dressed in an elaborate gothic outfit. Chainatsu is thrilled with the result, gushing over how cute Mai looks, comparing her to a soft porcelain doll with big eyes. Chainatsu continues her stream of praise, telling Mai she looks like a doll's descendant and that her compliments are making her blush. The next outfit features a school uniform style, complete with a choker and an eye patch. Chainatsu declares Mai's cuteness is otherworldly and announces it's time for the finale. For the final look, Mai appears in a spooky, horror-inspired getup. Chainatsu reacts with pure delight, exclaiming that she's incredibly cute. After the dress-up session, an exhausted but happy Chainatsu tells Mai how much fun she had. While walking outside, she laments that a typhoon kept them from their usual outings and expresses her desire for everyone to know they are friends. Later, Kuroki looks at a photo of Mai from the session on his phone, commenting that it's more impressive than cute, like a magazine cover. 2 girls comment on how Mai Chihara feels as cold as a doll to the touch and seems like the type who gets cold easily. Elsewhere, Kuroki shivers, noticing the chill in the air himself. Kuroki feels a cold draft from an open window, wondering if he is the only one who gets cold easily. He notices Chihara get up and shut the window. He feels a sense of relief and gratitude, wondering if she had closed it for him. Chihara then turns and stares directly at him. As the class chime rings, Chihara suddenly calls out to Kuroki. She steps forward and grabs his face with both of her hands. Kuroki is left stunned and flustered by the sudden contact. Kuroki is surprised by how warm and soft Chihara's hands feel against his cold skin. Their classmates gasp and begin to speculate excitedly about whether the two are about to kiss. Chihara explains to Kuroki that he seemed cold. He's shocked that she noticed him shivering when she closed the window earlier. She then takes a blanket out of her bag. Chihara explains that the blanket was a gift she doesn't use. With a sharp gaze, she warns him that he'll catch a cold if he doesn't take it. The teacher enters the room, telling everyone to take their seats as class is about to start. With Kuroki now wrapped in the cat-patterned blanket, a satisfied Chihara turns to him and says he looks pretty cute, which he finds very embarrassing. Kuroki sighs, relieved that the tiring week is over, but is surprised when Chihara calls his name from right behind him. He is startled by her sudden and close presence. He reflects that lately, Chihara has been waiting for him after school. Kuroki knows that Chihara sometimes walks home with another friend, who is often busy. He wonders if he is just being used as a backup plan. He feels it's a bit strange for her to choose him to walk home with. Suddenly, Chihara reaches out to his stomach, startling him completely. Kuroki asks how she knew, and Chihara explains she was just wondering if he was hungry. She adds that it's natural for anyone to be hungry after class, a point he concedes. Chihara then asks if they should go, leaving Kuroki surprised by her forwardness. Kuroki imagines what a flashy girl like Chihara would have for an after-school tea break. His mind conjures an image of a fancy tapioca milk tea loaded with fresh cream. At a snack shop, he asks if she comes often, and she replies that she does sometimes. Chihara explains that she brings a 100 yen coin with her. She uses the coin to buy a snack, which makes Kuroki think she's like an elementary schooler, immediately spending their pocket money. Chihara stares at the snack options, contemplating her choice. She ultimately decides on convenience store chicken. She tells Kuroki that it's super crunchy and asks if he's had it before, to which he replies no. Chihara explains that she only feels like eating meat as a snack when she is with a friend. Chihara takes a large, satisfying bite of the convenience store chicken. After her bite, she wipes her mouth. Noticing some oil on her finger, she licks it clean, causing Kuroki's heart to pound. Kuroki is flustered just watching her eat her chicken. Chihara asks him if he has any napkins, and he says he'll check. She then gets his attention and points to her mouth. He's shocked, realizing she wants him to wipe her face for her. Kuroki finds the idea incredibly embarrassing, something he wouldn't even do for family. Despite his embarrassment, Kuroki reluctantly agrees. He gently dabs her face with the napkin. Chihara tells him he can rub it more, but a mortified Kuroki insists that he couldn't possibly. Kuroki is left wondering why Chihara seems to be happy about this. She asks if her face looks okay now, and he meekly confirms it probably does. As Chihara goes to take another bite, Kuroki falls over in embarrassment. He suggests to her that it might be better for him to wipe her face when she's all done. Chihara looks at him with a confused expression. Kuroki is left wondering if she even understands what he is saying. At the Chihara residence, Mai is called over by a family member. He asks her to take a bag of fruit to their neighbor Matsumoto-san as a thank you for some vegetables. As he hands her the bag, he mentions that he heard Matsumoto-san did something interesting. He reveals that their neighbor got a cat. Intrigued by the news, Mai Chihara heads out on her errand. She stops to look at some cat toys in a shop window along the way. Mai arrives at Matsumoto-san's home and is warmly welcomed. She hands over the gift as thanks for the vegetables, and her neighbor expresses her gratitude, saying it was unnecessary. Inside, Matsumoto-san offers to get tea and sweets, leaving Mai to wait. Mai thanks her and begins looking around for the cat. A moment later, she spots a white paw stepping out from behind a sliding door. A white cat appears, looking confused. Upon seeing Mai, her expression shifts. The cat becomes frightened and starts to back away. Mai seems to have thrown a toy to get its attention, but the cat remains wary. Mai gets closer to the still scared cat, trying to appear non-threatening. The two of them stare at each other from a distance. To make the cat more comfortable, Mai slowly unzips her hoodie. Just then, Matsumoto-san returns with refreshments, surprised by the scene unfolding before her. Matsumoto-san is pleased to see that Mai and the cat have gotten along so well, with the feline now nestled inside her hoodie. She mentions that she only got the cat yesterday, but it seems very docile. Mai agrees, petting the cat and remarking on how cute and warm it is. Matsumoto-san admits she hasn't named the cat yet. She asks if Mai has any cute ideas. As Mai holds the cat, she stares at it thoughtfully. The next day at school, Kuroki notices Mai humming to herself. He greets her and she returns the greeting cheerfully. Seeing her in such a good mood, he asks if something good happened. Mai lends in close and shows Kuroki a photo on her phone. It's a picture of a cute white cat, which she explains her neighbor recently got. Kuroki asks what its name is. Mai simply replies Kuro, leaving him to wonder why. A lively atmosphere fills the classroom as a classmate excitedly announces he's bought something for everyone to try, and a friend comments to Mai Chihara on the class's high spirits. Mai wonders what's about to unfold, as her friend mentions it's a popular trend. She soon learns they're about to play a game with Russian cream puffs. The game involves filling a cream puff with mustard, wasabi and Tabasco sauce. Mai's friend confesses that she would rather just enjoy her cream puffs normally. However, she fantasizes that if she had to play, she would be delighted if her crush ended up eating the spicy one instead of her. Her friend admits she might be brave enough to try it if her crush weren't present. She then waves goodbye and heads off to her next class. Mai seems intrigued but hesitant, worried about the spiciness. Just then, a couple of classmates approach Kuroki, pulling him into the game of Russian cream puffs. The classmates explain that the trick cream puff is filled with mustard, wasabi and Tabasco sauce. They shamelessly admit they're curious to see a reaction from the normally expressionless Kuroki. Kuroki surprisingly agrees to play. They present the final 2 cream puffs, explaining that one of them is altered. He cautiously asks if it's a prank, and his classmate's honest curiosity convinces him to go along with it. As Kuroki prepares to choose, Mai Chihara unexpectedly steps up, declaring that she will take one of the cream puffs. Kuroki looks at her, surprised by her sudden intervention. To everyone's astonishment, Chihara quickly eats one of the cream puffs. She seems completely unfazed, even looking a bit flushed with enjoyment, leaving her classmates stunned. She then calmly turns her attention to the remaining cream puff on the plate. The class watches in suspense as Chihara calmly chews. Kuroki looks on, bewildered by her actions. After a moment, the other students breathe a collective sigh of relief, concluding that she must have picked the normal, non-spicy cream puff. Since Chihara got the normal puff, Kuroki realizes his must be the altered one. He takes a bite, and a classmate asks with concern if he is all right. Kuroki calmly reports that while it tastes awful, like a mix of custard and various hot sauces, he is fine. He explains he ate it simply because he didn't want the altered puff to go to waste. Hearing his considerate reason, the entire class feels guilty and apologizes for their prank. Kuroki and Chihara exchange a look, both slightly confused by the turn of events. Suddenly, Chihara jumps towards Kuroki, startling him. The onlooking classmates immediately start whispering, wondering if the two are about to kiss. However, Chihara simply smiles and expresses her gladness. Kuroki remains flustered as Chihara leans in close. She points out a small bit of sauce on his right hand. Then, in a bizarre and shocking display, she recoils with a sharp intake of breath, her face contorting in an animalistic way, leaving Kuroki completely stunned. On his day off, Kuroki wanders through the district wondering what to eat. He frequently visits the area, but has never explored the restaurants in a particular alley. He spots a Chinese-style restaurant that appears to be open and decides to take a look inside. Kuroki notes that the restaurant was quiet when he first arrived. However, it has suddenly filled with people. He observes them talking amongst themselves, wondering if they all know each other. He overhears their introductions and realizes it must be an in-person meeting for an online group. As Kuroki orders super spicy mapo tofu, he muses on the strange choice of a Chinese restaurant for a meetup. He decides to leave right after eating. His plans are abruptly changed when Mai Chihara walks in, and another customer recognizes her with shock. Kuroki is shocked to see Chihara, finding her presence in the restaurant odd. He's further confused when everyone greets her enthusiastically, telling her they were waiting. He even sees people asking to take pictures with her. As his food is served, Kuroki is unable to connect the dots between the Chinese restaurant, the meeting, and Chihara's presence. Chihara herself appears to be wondering what in the world is happening. Chihara orders 1 serving of gyoza. The crowd enthusiastically echoes her order. Kuroki wonders why everyone is saying the order with her. Following the order, the crowd breaks into applause. He is left completely baffled by their strange behavior. He feels a bit ashamed for watching without permission, but reasons that since he's eating, it shouldn't arouse suspicion. Although he had planned to go home, Kuroki finds himself too curious about the situation to leave. A plate of gyoza is served to Chihara. With all eyes on her, Chihara puts her hands together in thanks for the meal. She brings a piece of gyoza to her mouth. She takes a thoughtful bite. She savors the gyoza while the crowd watches in silence. Kuroki notices how quiet everyone has become. A fan prompts Chihara for her thoughts, mentioning this is her 23rd restaurant exploration. Chihara then provides a detailed, eloquent review of the pan-fried gyoza, praising its balance and mesmerizing simplicity. Kuroki is left completely lost by her analysis. A fan asks Chihara for her recommended way of eating gyoza. She explains that to truly appreciate it, one should eat it plain first. Kuroki is stunned to hear Chihara speaking so much and finally realizes she must be the food reviewer known as Gyoza Pakupaku. Everything clicks into place for Kuroki. He realizes this must be a gyoza fan club. He understands that Chihara, with the distinct aura she projects, is their revered icon. Kuroki is in disbelief, as this is the first he's ever heard of this. He never would have imagined this side of her. He observes that she seems very used to all this attention. Realizing Chihara has never mentioned this at school, he wonders if anyone else knows her secret. Realizing no one else from school seems to know, Kuroki feels a strange sense of honor at being the only one aware of her secret. He quickly dismisses the thought. The next day he approaches Chihara and asks about her favorite food, to which she replies, "Nehachi soba." At the end of class, the teacher reminds the students that Monday is a holiday, giving them a 3-day weekend. Kuroki is pleased and initially thinks of spending the time gaming and sleeping. He then considers doing something more typical of a high schooler, like going out. When he wonders who to invite, Chihara briefly crosses his mind. He quickly dismisses the thought, feeling they aren't that close. One of Chihara's friends notices her staring intently at Kuroki. The friend correctly guesses that Chihara wants to invite a friend to play, and Chihara confirms with a simple nod. The friend encourages Chihara to invite them. Chihara admits she's not used to it and doesn't know what to say, even though she wants to. Her friend suggests a simple approach, assuming the person is another girl. She is then shocked to realize that Chihara might be planning to ask out a boy. Seeing Chihara looking towards Kuroki, her friend understands the situation completely. Realizing that Mai needs help and can't afford to be rejected, she resolves to support her. In her imagination, she pictures herself aiding a beautifully dressed Chihara, vowing to be there for her. The friend excitedly devises a plan, telling Chihara to come to her place before inviting him so she can help. Back in the present, Kuroki looks at his phone. He is confused by a message from Chihara asking him to meet her at the station. Before Kuroki can fully process the text, he sees Chihara dash out of the classroom with surprising speed. Left wondering what she's planning, he heads to the station. Kuroki waits at the station as instructed, feeling a bit embarrassed but also excited. He reflects that he often ends up following Chihara's lead. He finds her unpredictable nature intimidating and feels he should be cautious. His thoughts are cut short when Chihara arrives and calls his name. Kuroki turns to see Chihara, who has changed her hair into twin tails, apologizing for making him wait. Kuroki is stunned by her new hairstyle. He blurts out questions about her hair and where she's going. He quickly realizes he should say something more thoughtful. He awkwardly compliments her appearance, but Chihara misunderstands his initial shock and tells him he's free to go. As they stand together, Kuroki finds the experience of talking with Chihara strange but nice, appreciating that she wanted to meet and changed her hairstyle. He feels it might be rude of him to be thinking about her motives. Kuroki reflects on how his relationship with her started from a place of fear. He decides that even if their friendship is based on a misunderstanding, he's glad it happened. He feels like he's growing up, but his thoughts are interrupted when Chihara calls his name. Chihara pokes Kuroki's cheek to snap him out of his daze, asking if he can hear her. He complains that her nail is scratching him. After apologizing, she tells him directly that she wants to see him, even on days without school. Following her declaration, Chihara bluntly asks Kuroki if he's free on the weekend. The direct question catches him completely off guard, leaving him blushing and utterly speechless. Kuroki is so flustered by her invitation that his mind goes completely blank. He internally questions what a weekend even is. Chihara stares at him, wondering if his shocked reaction is serious. A quick recap reminds the reader that during the 3-day weekend, Chihara asked Kuroki if he wanted to play. Kuroki wonders what is happening, feeling like he's in some kind of alternate reality. He tells himself not to be so nervous, as it's not a date but just a casual hangout. Despite his attempts to remain calm, he recalls meticulously preparing his appearance beforehand. Kuroki reflects that meeting her outside of school feels completely different. He thinks that maybe he can calm down if he just imagines that he's being pranked. A voice calls out his name, Kuroki-kun. Chihara appears and apologizes for the wait. Flustered, Kuroki tells her that he wasn't waiting long. He thinks that while he's seen her in casual clothes before, this is something else entirely, and he worries about walking next to her. He tries to rationalize that it's okay, as he probably just looks like a mascot character to other people. Determined not to be tense, Kuroki asks Chihara how she got there, and she explains she came by train. Kuroki pauses, deciding on a course of action. He wonders if she has any plans for their outing. He decides he should be the one to ask. Kuroki turns to Chihara and asks if there is anywhere she would like to go. Chihara is struck by a realization, thinking to herself that she was right. Kuroki suggests they just walk around, and Chihara nods in agreement. They arrive at the Cat Cafe Wild, only to find a sign indicating it is closed for the day. Kuroki thinks that of course this would happen when they didn't have a plan. He nervously tells a dejected Chihara that they should find another place. Their search for something to do leads them to the cinemas. Kuroki turns to Chihara and asks what she thinks of the idea. They approach the ticket counter to check for seats. A look at the seating chart reveals that only 2 single seats in different rows are available. Chihara, looking utterly dejected, says they should leave and go somewhere else. They find the restaurant is also crowded with people waiting outside. The nearby cafe is just as busy. Kuroki realizes he underestimated how crowded the weekends can be. He is suddenly startled by a sound and a hand on his shoulder. He asks Chihara what the matter is. He looks down and sees that her shoe has broken. She explains that it broke while they were walking, and he worries about what they should do. Kuroki tells her they need to find a place for her to sit. They find a small park nearby. He directs her to a bench, asking her to sit there for a moment. Chihara sits quietly on the bench, looking downcast. Kuroki returns, but is confused to find Chihara missing. He realizes she's gone. He then notices her broken shoes have been left behind. He looks at the playground equipment and wonders if she could be in there. He calls out, asking if Chihara is there. A voice from inside the slide apologizes, surprising him. Chihara laments that she didn't prepare anything even though she invited him, making the day not fun for him. She explains that she got depressed, and now with her broken shoe she can't even get home. Kuroki insists that it's not her fault. He admits that he didn't really do anything today either. He tells her that he was still really happy that she, of all people, wanted to hang out with him. He pleads with her to come out. Chihara slides out of the tube. Kuroki tells her that he has shoes for her. He presents her with a pair of simple black and white sandals. Sweating nervously, he explains that he tried to get a style she'd like and apologizes if she doesn't. Chihara lets out a small laugh, her face lit up with a brilliant smile. Kuroki is relieved that she smiled and suggests they get candied strawberries before going home. Chihara comments that the health sandals are nice, much to Kuroki's surprise. On a school rooftop, Kuroki and Chihara find themselves the only survivors to reach the designated gathering point amidst a zombie outbreak, wondering if they should panic. A loud stomach growl suddenly breaks the tense silence. Kuroki turns to Chihara and asks if she is hungry. He offers to share his lunch, unsure of how long they'll have to wait for rescue. Their brief moment of calm is shattered by zombies slamming against the rooftop door. Kuroki looks back at the door, worrying aloud if the zombies can break through. As he voices his concern, Chihara suddenly reaches out and gently touches his face. Startled and confused, Kuroki questions her action, wondering if she believes this is the end for them. Misinterpreting her gesture as a final romantic moment, a blushing Kuroki tries to stop her, insisting it is not the right time. However, Chihara simply chomps down on the food in his hand. Kuroki then notices what looks like a bite mark on Chihara's arm. The sight leads to a moment of dawning horror for him. His fear is misplaced, as she was simply eating his food and expresses her relief. Back in class, Kuroki reflects on his weekend, thinking that although it was messy, he considers it a really good time. He tries to focus on returning to his normal school life. However, his thoughts keep drifting back to his time with Chihara. He finds himself unable to stop thinking about it and struggles to concentrate. Kuroki compares his lingering feelings to the afterglow of a fun vacation that he can't forget. He vividly remembers seeing Chihara smile for the first time and wonders if she will ever smile like that for him again. He quickly snaps out of it, chiding himself for imagining such things. Lost in his thoughts, Kuroki feels the whole experience was dreamlike. He considers it an unlikely event to happen again. He worries that if he were to bring it up with Chihara, she might not even know what he was talking about. However, his daydreaming is about to be interrupted. He decides that even if it was a dream, it was a very nice one. Kuroki is suddenly jolted back to reality, finding himself in an unfamiliar place and asking Chihara where they are. She calmly informs him that they are at her house, leaving him bewildered at the counter. She explains that they went home together and she invited him for tea. Kuroki recognizes the coffee shop, recalling a previous embarrassing misunderstanding. Chihara clarifies that it's her dad's shop and a hobby of his, but it's closed today. He grows nervous, wondering what he would say if her father suddenly appeared. She offers to make him some coffee and he accepts. Kuroki watches in amazement as Chihara skillfully grinds coffee beans, assuming she learned from her father. She serves him a fresh cup of coffee. He tells her he's happy because he doesn't usually get to drink coffee like this. He prepares to take his first sip. Kuroki lifts the cup and remarks that it smells good. Internally, however, he realizes with a shock that it's completely odorless. He wonders if his nose is clogged but dismisses the thought. He decides it's time to drink. After taking a sip, Kuroki has a bizarre vision of battling creatures. He tells Chihara he thinks he's seeing other worlds, and she asks if that means the coffee is good. He enthusiastically agrees, and Chihara reveals she made it purely on intuition, which impresses him. Chihara explains that the coffee is an apology for something that happened before. Kuroki thinks she has left the room. He then realizes she just walked around the counter. To his shock, she suddenly sits down right next to him. Startled that she's continuing the conversation so close, Kuroki listens intently. Chihara says she wants to hang out with him again sometime, admitting she would feel lonely if their connection just stopped here. She asks if that's okay with him. Overjoyed and blushing, Kuroki realizes their growing closeness wasn't a dream after all. Later, after Kuroki has gone home, Chihara's father arrives. He notices the coffee pot and asks if Mai made some, and she confirms that her friend came over. Her father decides to have a taste. He immediately spits it out, exclaiming that it's horrible while Chihara seems unfazed. Kuroki enjoys a moment of peace in the usually empty rooftop bathroom. He reflects that he only ever runs into people when Chihara is waiting for him before his quiet is abruptly shattered by the arrival of several intimidating upperclassmen. The sudden confrontation leaves him startled. A mysterious figure suddenly appears, asking if he is Kuroki, and a startled Kuroki confirms his identity. His mind races with the thought that he should run away. The figure greets him by name, stepping out of the shadows. Kuroki recognizes his old friend Hibiya, who explains he came all the way from his school just to see him. Kuroki asks about the upperclassmen from before. Hibiya casually mentions that he defeated them with punches and kicks, much to Kuroki's dismay, who clarifies he wasn't asking for the details of the fight. Kuroki assumes Hibiya was defending himself, acknowledging his friend's reputation. Hibiya admits he fought because he wanted to play with Kuroki, calling him honest. He then confirms his intention to visit Kuroki's classroom, stating that they're friends. As they walk, Hibiya notices they're being followed. Another of Kuroki's old friends arrives, charming a group of girls who guided him to the classroom. The friend, Kazami, spots Kuroki and calls out his name. Kazami cheerfully waves. He greets Hibiya as his friend, but Hibiya seems annoyed and pushes him away. Hibiya begrudgingly tells Kazami to take a seat. Kazami happily accepts the offer, much to Hibiya's irritation. Kuroki sits awkwardly between a smiling Kazami and a scowling Hibiya. Their classmates whisper about how Kuroki knows such flashy guys and wonder about his popularity. Their attention is suddenly drawn to the doorway, where Chihara has just arrived. Hibiya tells Kazami to go home, calling him a bother. Kazami retorts that Hibiya is also a bother for coming. As Kuroki watches with a classmate, the argument between his friends begins. Hibiya insists he is a better friend to Kuroki and tells him to leave. Kazami confidently replies that only Hibiya thinks so. The petty argument escalates, with Hibiya claiming he slept on Kuroki's right side in daycare. Kazami counters that he was on the left, calling Hibiya an idiot. Hibiya furiously points out that Kuroki is right-handed, as if that settles the matter. From afar, Kuroki can only watch in utter confusion. Chihara watches the chaotic scene from the doorway, looking completely bewildered. At that moment, the entire class shares the same thought. They have no idea who Kuroki really is, seeing him as the center of attention for a Jurai girl, a strong Yankee, and a charming prince. As the bell rings, Hibiya and Kazami decide to take a break, hoisting a protesting Kuroki up to carry him out of the classroom. Chihara watches them leave, asking them to put him down. She then turns to her phone, asking a friend what could be a more friendly activity than a sleepover. Chihara receives a blunt reply from her friend Chainatsu, nothing at all. Stunned, she starts to wander off, prompting her classmates to call out and stop her from hiding behind the curtains again. Kuroki walks to class, still thinking about his friend's chaotic visit the other day and wishing they weren't so conspicuous. As he enters the room, he notices Chihara is already at her desk. He is taken aback when he sees her intensely reading a vacation magazine, a sight so unexpected it makes him exclaim her name in his mind. Kuroki is surprised to see Chihara reading such magazines. He finds it difficult to picture her on a vacation. He gathers his courage and offers an awkward good morning, to which she quietly responds. To his utter shock, Chihara then directly asks him whether he prefers domestic or international travel for vacations. During class, Chihara is clearly in low spirits, barely registering a classmate's comment about the upcoming field trip. Her mind is preoccupied with the recent visit from Kuroki's friends. She is currently deep in thought, formulating a plan. Her plan is based on her interpretation of the situation. She believes the boys have a close bond from past sleepovers, which she views positively, and feels a negative outcome if that's not the case. Chihara reflects on what she perceives as the glory days of Kuroki and his friends. She imagines that if she were to initiate a new sleepover, it would be a resounding success. With a reckless determination burning in her eyes, she resolves that she will win. Chihara's friend has a dramatic reaction and clarifies if Chihara really wants to have a sleepover with the boy she mentioned earlier. She pieces it together. Some of his friends appeared, and now Chihara feels her own friendship with him is threatened. Chihara confirms this, believing that orchestrating a sleepover will solidify her position as his best friend. Her friend observes that Mai seems to be planning something extreme, noting that gender doesn't appear to be a factor in her thinking. She reasons that jealousy over a friend's friends is a common feeling, while Chihara is lost in thought about gyoza places. Her friend privately considers the plan, convinced that any normal guy would reject such a forward invitation for a sleepover. She is certain he would be turned off by it. While her friend admits she enjoys seeing Mai's reckless side, she feels a responsibility to ensure things go well, and decides she needs to keep an eye on her. She calls out to Mai, cautioning her against doing anything inappropriate for their age. Chihara's expression grows more intense with the advice. She warns that trying something so unfamiliar could create trouble between her and Kuroki. Chihara looks dejected. Her friend starts to feel bad and questions if Mai is thinking clearly. She resolves to guide her and do what she can to help. Just as she's about to act, Mai stops her in her tracks. Her friend excitedly brings up the upcoming outdoors school trip. Chihara is dazed for a moment. Then she suddenly has a flash of inspiration, her eyes widening with a new idea. In the classroom, the teacher announces an upcoming camping trip and instructs the students to begin forming groups for the event. The news of having to make groups catches both Kuroki and Chihara by surprise. Kuroki feels a familiar anxiety about forming a group. He recalls always teaming up with his friends Hibiya and Kazami during middle school. He decides it's time to be more proactive in high school and try inviting people himself. Mustering his courage, he considers asking Chihara just as the teacher gives the class 30 minutes to finalize their teams. Chihara notices that Kuroki isn't looking at her at all. Meanwhile, he internally panics over how to approach her. He debates asking her normally, but worries it might seem creepy. He ultimately freezes, realizing he doesn't know how to handle these situations. Suddenly, Chihara breaks the silence, asking Kuroki about forming a group, which startles him. Before he can respond, two other female classmates approach Chihara to ask if she has a moment. One of them asks if she has a group yet, and Kuroki internally panics, thinking he's missed his chance. One of the girls asks Chihara about forming a group with them. The invitation leaves Chihara looking surprised. Kuroki is completely shocked by the development. Kuroki immediately regrets not having asked for Chihara's opinion first. The other classmate is delighted by the prospect of them joining. The classmate explains their group is 2 people short and invites them both to join, an offer which Kuroki impulsively accepts. Chihara then raises her hands towards Kuroki apologetically, saying it is okay, which confuses him. Seeing Chihara's raised hand, Kuroki wonders if she is asking for a high five. Her face suddenly turns beet red as she becomes incredibly flustered, leaving Kuroki stunned. The other 2 girls leave the curry ingredient shopping to Kuroki and Chihara. Kuroki asks Chihara if she has ever eaten curry on a camping trip. She fondly recalls eating beef curry made by her father during their hikes. This makes sense to Kuroki, as her family owns a coffee shop where they might serve homemade food. While Kuroki is busy considering snacks, he gets lost in thought. He turns to see Chihara holding a pack of dumplings. He asks if she likes dumplings. She questions how he knew, and he simply states that she was staring right at them. Kuroki muses that making them together could be fun. He then suggests an idea: they should make curry dumplings. Chihara is visibly surprised, remarking that she did not think he would agree with her sudden idea. On the bus before departure, Kuroki sits by the window, hoping for a smooth ride. A classmate calls out to Kuroki, who turns to acknowledge him. At the same moment, Chihara approaches the classmate, asking if she can sit beside him. Chihara continues to ask about the seat beside the classmate. The classmate looks confused by her request. She quickly clarifies that she only wanted to sniff the seat next to Kuroki and leaves to find another spot, leaving him bewildered. Now seated next to Chihara, Kuroki asks if she is fine not sitting by the window and offers to switch, but she assures him that she is fine. Chihara suddenly leans very close to Kuroki. Her proximity startles him. Seeing his reaction, she seems to wonder if she did something wrong. Kuroki then offers her some sweets, but his timing only adds to Chihara's confusion as she questions his reasoning. Kuroki realizes Chihara can't eat the group sweets. She reassures him that it is fine because she bought her own. She points out the window, noting they can still barely see their school. Chihara appears gloomy, and Kuroki apologizes if he soured her mood. He then considers it an interesting way to celebrate their departure. Chihara begins eating a snack while looking over the trip's itinerary. She then offers a piece to Kuroki. The gesture gives Kuroki a strong sense of déjà vu, reminding him of a previous time she shared long gum with him. Kuroki wonders about Chihara's habit of always offering him food, jokingly questioning if she is checking for poison. After taking a bite, his expression changes to one of shock. He discovers the snack is a meaty mackerel-flavored biscuit and asks Chihara where she managed to find such a thing. After arriving at the camping site, a teacher confirms with a student that all their supplies are in order. The teacher observes that only the girls in their group seem excited. The student happily confirms his observation. Kuroki looks on, a bit bewildered by their energy. He suddenly realizes someone is missing and wonders where Chihara is. Chihara finally arrives, and her classmates immediately compliment her cute apron and hairstyle, which she accepts with an apology for being late. Kuroki is struck by how cute she looks and feels flustered, comparing himself to an elementary schooler cooking for the first time. Hibiya also tells Chihara she looks cute in her apron. He immediately becomes flustered and apologizes for his unsolicited opinion. Kuroki asks if something happened, and Chihara explains she couldn't find her apron in her bag. She continues, saying a friend kindly lent her a spare one. Chihara expresses her disappointment, revealing she wanted to wear her favorite apron, a black one with a large dragon on it that her dad bought for her. They decide to focus on the curry, while others handle the rice. Kuroki asks how they should divide the work, and Chihara immediately claims the onions. Kuroki agrees, telling her he'll leave the size of the cuts to her. He asks what she plans to do with them. Chihara declares that she wants to bash them to pieces and then fry them repeatedly, which Kuroki thinks sounds normal. While Chihara fries the onions, she tells Kuroki she heard that frying them more makes the curry better. Kuroki is skeptical, clarifying if she means to fry them until they turn amber. Chihara confirms his suspicion and declares she will do her best. Her determination leaves Kuroki looking uncertain. Chihara instructs Kuroki to use the cat paws cutting technique, and he's impressed she knows it. She corrects him, pointing out that his hand position resembles claws, not paws. As Kuroki demonstrates his incorrect form with a blush, he looks to her for confirmation. Chihara gently takes his hand to fix his form, causing him to become even more flustered. Kuroki notices something is wrong and asks Chihara about it. She stares into the pot in shock, announcing that the onions have completely disappeared, having melted away. She confesses she was worried someone might have eaten them, but Kuroki reassures her that no one would do that. Just then, their classmates announce the rice is ready. Kuroki tells them they just need to add the curry powder. Chihara quietly tries to take the blame for the missing onions, claiming she ate them so Kuroki wouldn't be at fault. The others suggest they all add the curry powder together on a countdown for fun. Everyone agrees and adds the powder to the pot. The finished curry smells great, and Chihara is pleased that there are no onions. Seeing Chihara happy makes Kuroki feel happy too. He is immediately embarrassed by his own sentimental thought. Chihara gives him credit, saying it's all because he was a good boy. Kuroki then starts to worry about what might happen later that night during the trip. A young woman named Fansawa Mabumi is determined to discover everything about Chihara Mai's private life. She plans to learn the secret behind why Chihara is rumored to be a so-called Jurei girl. Mabumi follows Chihara as she begins shopping. She wonders what Chihara intends to buy. Chihara first examines some red eyeshadow, piquing Mabumi's curiosity about the brand. She's then shocked when Chihara picks up what appears to be a red ink pad, which Mabumi thinks of as a strange, red meat color. Completely unable to grasp Chihara's mindset, Mabumi continues to follow her. Chihara then heads to an arcade, further confusing Mabumi. She assumes Chihara must be after a plush toy. However, upon seeing her expression, Mabumi concludes that Chihara is simply hungry. Chihara tries her luck at a game to win a tower of chocolate and succeeds. Mabumi is amazed at her skill. Chihara happily enjoys her prize, her feelings of satisfaction clearly showing. Mabumi struggles to keep up with Chihara, who moves at her own pace. Chihara then heads into a clothing shop. Mabumi thinks she will finally witness why Chihara is called a Jurei girl, as Chihara emerges in a completely new outfit. After a day of observation, Mabumi is left completely bewildered, unable to understand a single thing about Chihara. Meanwhile, Chihara is at home, showing off her new clothes to someone named Chanatsu on her phone and getting their opinion. During a school trip at night, Kuroki lies in his tent, noting that the tents were separated by gender. He is relieved, as he feels embarrassed about others seeing his face while he sleeps. His sense of ease is short-lived, however, as he notices strange, dark handprints appearing on the ceiling of his tent. Kuroki stares in shock, realizing he's seeing a ghost. He panics, wondering if he should just pretend he can't see it. His frantic thoughts are interrupted by a voice from outside, calling his name and pleading for help. The tent flap opens to reveal Mai Chihara, who asks if she can come inside. Kuroki is stunned and immediately tells her she can't, worried that the teachers might find out. Ignoring his protests, Chihara shushes him and enters the tent anyway. Kuroki calls Chihara whimsical for her daring move, but she simply wishes him a good night. As he continues to protest, Chihara tells him to go to bed. Their conversation is cut short when a teacher on patrol calls out to Kuroki from outside the tent, causing them both to freeze in alarm. The teacher peers in, asking about the noise. Thinking quickly, Kuroki drapes a blanket over himself to hide Chihara and apologizes, promising to go to sleep immediately. The teacher zips the tent closed before leaving. As the teacher walks away, he muses that Kuroki is just eating snacks and has grown up. Inside the tent, Kuroki expresses his relief that they somehow fooled him. Chihara calmly replies that she knows and tells him she will go back to her tent once he falls asleep. Kuroki is completely flustered by Chihara's presence. He gets into his sleeping bag, blushing, while she sits beside him. As he lies down, he can't help but wonder why she is there. Soon after, Chihara lies down next to him and appears to fall asleep. Kuroki sighs, thinking that he will never be able to understand her. However, it's revealed that Chihara is only pretending to be asleep. Later, while Kuroki is sound asleep, Chihara gently touches his cheek, and he murmurs his thanks in his sleep. Before she leaves, Chihara quietly suggests that they play again sometime. By the time she departs, the sun is rising. When Kuroki wakes up, he is surprised to find that Chihara actually returned to her own tent. He is left feeling flustered and confused. He wonders if he should be angry at how carefree she is. As the other students finish cleaning up and prepare to leave, Kuroki reflects on the trip. He felt that the camping trip was over for him after his encounter with Chihara. Despite that, he admits it was fun. Suddenly, Chihara appears beside him and places a hand on his shoulder, startling him as she mentally celebrates her victory. After school, Kuroki finds Mai Chihara and asks if she is going home. She explains that she has plans with a friend. Chihara adds that her eyes have been irritated lately, so she was thinking about changing her contact lenses. Kuroki asks what's wrong. Chihara unexpectedly offers him her one-day contact lenses to try, leaving Kuroki completely flustered and shocked by her sudden suggestion. Kuroki watches as she finds the contact lens case. Having followed Chihara into a classroom, he wonders why he came. She explains that the lenses change eye color, but she didn't think they suited her. She then asks Kuroki if he has ever tried contacts before, and he replies that he tried once but found them to be too much of a hassle. Chihara tells Kuroki not to worry, reassuring him that she will put the contact lens in for him. She gently holds his chin and tells him to try his best to open his eyes, making him blush nervously. Once the lens is in, Kuroki stares ahead, his face flushed. The quiet moment is shattered by a sudden loud crash from nearby. Chihara looks startled by the noise. A blushing Kuroki asks how he looks and questions her reaction. Another student nearby remarks that she can detect Mai laughing. Chihara, unable to contain herself, is doubled over in laughter. She then declares that it is time for her to go. Later, after Chihara leaves with a wave, Kuroki is left alone in the classroom. He feels stranded with the colored contact lens still in his eye. Outside, he spots two of his classmates. Hibiya listens to his friend's suggestion. The friend cheerfully suggests that since Kuroki didn't call out to them, they should skip afternoon classes. Their plan is to go to the next town to buy Taiwan Devil's chicken steak. The friend eagerly asks to be brought along next time, hoping he can escape too. For now, however, they agree that they should look for Kuroki first. They spot a student who resembles Kuroki. However, his friend dismisses the idea, noting that the person's eye color is different. Unaware he was just seen, Kuroki walks on, deciding it's too much trouble and he will just take the contact lens out when he gets home. In the morning, Mai Chihara's dad calls out to her after she overslept a little. He asks her to buy some groceries after school, and she agrees to do it. While he reminds her that she'll be wearing her summer uniform for the first time today, Mai begins writing the grocery list on her arm. Dressed and ready, Mai prepares to leave for school. Her dad wishes her a safe trip, noting how hot it looks outside. She heads out into the bright sunshine. The day is marked by record-breaking temperatures. Mai is clearly feeling the heat, sweating profusely as she walks. She struggles on her walk but is determined to get to school. Upon her arrival in the classroom, a concerned Kuroki calls out her name. Kuroki greets Mai and asks if she is okay. Looking dazed, she replies that it feels cold. He watches her with worry as their teacher prepares to make an announcement. The teacher announces that the school's air conditioning will be off for the day due to maintenance. Upon hearing this, Chihara looks completely despaired. Kuroki wonders why she is wearing such thick clothes. As the class periods go by, her condition worsens until she seems to melt onto her desk, prompting Kuroki to suggest she visit the infirmary. A classmate notices Chihara is unwell. The teacher asks Kuroki to lend her a hand, much to his surprise. He agrees to help. Chihara is completely exhausted and flushed from the heat. In the infirmary, another classmate suggests Chihara should have some water. The classmate decides to go get some tea from the teacher's office. Left alone with her, Kuroki cautiously suggests that Chihara should take off her cardigan to cool down. Chihara tells Kuroki she thinks he will not laugh at her reason. She then rolls up her sleeve, revealing the grocery list she had written on her arm. Kuroki is stunned, thinking it is the most questionable thing he has ever seen. Chihara explains that she was making memos and forgot about the switch to summer uniforms. They decide they need to find a way to remove it right now. When Kuroki asks how she usually removes the ink, she says it just fades naturally. Kuroki recalls that alcohol can remove it and finds some wet tissues. Kuroki apologetically asks to clean her arm. Chihara says she can do it later, but he insists. As he wipes the ink away, he becomes flustered by how soft and slender her arm is. He forces himself to snap out of it, calling himself an idiot. Just as he announces that the ink is gone, the infirmary teacher arrives with cold tea. Chihara says she will write the list on paper or her phone later. Kuroki asks if she can remember it all, thinking it would have been better to remove the ink from the start. She looks at him silently. She then takes a sip of her tea. While returning after buying chicken, Kuroki and Chihara come across an ominous tunnel. Kuroki wonders if it was always there, while Chihara remarks that it looks like a monster might come out. As a sudden chill fills the air, she suggests Kuroki can close his eyes until they reach the other side, though he seems hesitant. Chihara confidently asserts that she has a good sense of direction, a claim Kuroki has never heard before. Despite his skepticism, he agrees to let her lead. She tells him to leave it to her as they step into the darkness. Walking through the dark tunnel with his eyes shut, Kuroki grows nervous and calls out to Chihara, who reassures him that she is there. He worries about walking straight, but she tells him he is doing perfectly. Suddenly, a strange noise startles him. He is surprised when he feels a hand take his. A flustered Kuroki realizes it is Chihara's hand. Chihara whispers to guide him as she takes his hand. He stammers out a thank you as their fingers intertwine. When they emerge from the tunnel, Kuroki announces they are out, but Chihara lets out a terrified scream. Her reaction startles Kuroki, who internally compares her to someone easily spooked, while Chihara remarks on how quickly they got through. Chihara thanks Kuroki for pulling her along inside the tunnel. Confused, Kuroki denies doing so, claiming he never touched her hand until they were out. This revelation leaves Chihara looking puzzled, but she quickly changes the subject, suggesting they eat in a nearby park. Chihara unexpectedly asks Kuroki if she can stay the night at his place. Kuroki, caught off guard at his front door, asks her to explain the situation. After a shopping trip, Chihara thanks a flustered Kuroki for accompanying her. She explains that she went to a mall near his house for a limited-time item, and was glad she didn't get lost. As they walk, it suddenly begins to rain. Caught in the downpour, Chihara notes that the weather report was wrong. Since neither of them has an umbrella, Kuroki suggests they go to his nearby house to take shelter and get some, mentioning that his parents are not home. Kuroki immediately regrets his impulsive invitation. He had only thought it was a practical solution, but now realizes it might seem inappropriate. Flustered, he begins to apologize to Chihara. To his surprise, Chihara seems delighted by the prospect of visiting his house. She asks if he is sure, and a stammering Kuroki confirms. He suggests they take an underground path to get there. Arriving at his home, Kuroki lets Chihara in. She immediately asks to see his room, but he nervously directs her to the living room instead. He tells her to sit wherever she likes. In the living room, Kuroki offers to wash Chihara's socks if they got wet in the rain. She accepts his offer. Looking out the window, Kuroki observes that the heavy rain shows no signs of stopping. Kuroki notes that the rain will likely continue for a while, and offers Chihara an umbrella to take with her. Instead of accepting, she looks at him seriously and asks if she can stay there for the night. Kuroki tries to be optimistic about the weather, suggesting they not assume the rain will last. Chihara misinterprets his hesitation, worrying that he wants her to leave and will throw her out if she doesn't. Just as Kuroki expresses relief that the rain has stopped, Chihara agrees. Unwilling to live, she thinks to herself that she doesn't want to go home and suddenly feigns an injury, crying out that she stubbed her pinky. As Chihara is about to leave, Kuroki asks if she forgot anything. She uses the opportunity to ask if she can visit him again. Kuroki is left stunned but happy by her request. The next day at school, he returns the socks she left behind. A bonus story begins with a tale about a girl named Little Red Landmine who bears a striking resemblance to Chihara, tasked with delivering a super-strong highball to her grandmother's house. Her father cautioned her to stay on the main road and avoid strangers, a warning she dutifully accepted. And so, Little Red Landmine set off on her journey through the forest. However, she quickly got sidetracked by a beautiful field of flowers and decided to play for a bit. Along the way, she happened upon a small wolf gathering flowers and scooped him up, instantly deciding he would make a good souvenir. Shortly after, she found herself in a gunfight with a belligerent hunter, but her superior firepower quickly resolved the conflict. At long last, she arrived at her grandmother's house, safe and sound. The group celebrated by enjoying the super-strong highballs together. And they all lived happily ever after, with the small wolf crying contentedly in her arms. With summer break finally starting, a cheerful girl asks her friend Mai if she has any plans. Mai reveals that she has made an entire list of things she wants to do, much to her friend's surprise. Her friend is taken aback when she sees that it's a very specific to-do list for activities with Kuroki. Curious, Mai's friend asks about the plans. The first item on the list is to hang out at night. Mai elaborates that she wants to go to festivals and watch fireworks with him. When asked if there's anything else planned for the night, Mai simply gives a knowing smile. Mai continues listing activities like having a barbecue, going to the pool, and visiting the sea. Her friend expresses doubt, noting that Kuroki doesn't seem like the active type. With a determined look, Mai clarifies that these are the things she wants to do. Her friend then suggests she ask Kuroki about his own plans via social media, which Mai agrees to do. Meanwhile, at a restaurant, two of Kuroki's friends find him. They exchange greetings about the start of summer break. One friend mentions he's skipping cram school and asks Kuroki and Hibiya about their plans. As one of his friends suggests they hang out during the break, Kuroki excuses himself to use the restroom. He leaves his phone on the table, which his friends notice. His friends look over the phone, with Hibiya commenting on its size while holding a parfait. A new message from Chihara, Mai, appears on Kuroki's phone. His friend is surprised to see the message is from a girl. Hibiya looks on as his friend decides to reply with something about hitting the gym. Just as he finishes, Kuroki returns and asks why he is holding his phone, but the friend smoothly deflects the question. Back with Mai, her friend asks if she got a reply. Mai looks at her phone, where she had asked Kuroki about his summer plans, and reads his shocking response. She is left utterly speechless, prompting her friend to call out her name in concern. Mai interprets the bizarre message as a sign that Kuroki wants to go to the sea with her to get muscular and attract women. Her friend, however, is skeptical and suggests that someone might have been playing a prank with his phone. She explains that she doesn't think Kuroki is manly enough to send such a message. Mai's friend philosophizes that a single summer break can change a person. She suggests possibilities like someone getting buff or a chance encounter leading to a new relationship. As her friend wonders what might happen to Mai by the end of the summer, Mai looks on thoughtfully. Her to-do list with Kuroki is filled with plans like festivals, fireworks, and barbecues. Kuroki returns from the restroom and is horrified to see the message his friend sent from his phone. Hibiya scolds his friend, stating that there are lines that shouldn't be crossed, while the prankster feigns innocence, asking who Chihara is, which only infuriates Kuroki. On the third day of summer break, Kuroki lies in bed, wondering what to do, especially with the bad weather. He gets up to look out the window and sees a heavy thunderstorm. As he watches the rain, something outside catches his attention. Looking through the downpour, Kuroki is confused to see a figure standing alone across the street. It's Mai Chihara, drenched and looking completely stunned. Kuroki rushes outside with an umbrella, surprised to see Chihara. She explains that she came to hang out, reminding him that he said she could visit any time. Concerned that she's getting soaked, he asks where her umbrella is. He invites her inside to dry off and she agrees. Just as Kuroki brings Chihara inside, his younger sister appears, announcing she's home. When she sees the drenched, unfamiliar girl, she is terrified and thinks Chihara is a ghost. The little sister hides, convinced a ghost followed her brother home. Meanwhile, Chihara asks Kuroki what's wrong, and he notes how quiet it is despite his sister being there. He then tells Chihara to use a towel to dry off so she doesn't get sick. Kuroki becomes flustered at the thought of Chihara changing in his house, feeling it would be rude to suggest. However, prioritizing her health over his own awkwardness, he offers to let her borrow some of his clothes while hers dry. To his surprise, Chihara immediately agrees to change. He points her toward the wardrobe. After changing into his clothes, she thanks him, though she mentions they probably aren't very comfortable for her. An awkward silence falls between Kuroki and Chihara as they sit on the couch. Kuroki struggles to find something to say. Chihara breaks the silence by asking if he's free during summer break. He confirms he has no plans. A sly smile appears on Chihara's face. She then asks Kuroki if he has a swimsuit, catching him off guard. She explains that she has a place she wants to go. Kuroki asks where they are going. Chihara cheekily replies that it's a secret. He's a bit confused by her unique way of thinking, but he is ultimately just flustered and happy that she has invited him out again. While they decide what to do for the day, Kuroki suggests playing some games and offers to call his sister. At that exact moment, his sister bursts in, holding a bag of table salt and yelling for the demon to be gone. A friend of Chihara's, Chinatsu, calls her after hearing she's unsure what to wear for an outing with a guy she mentioned. After Chihara's hesitant response, Chinatsu gets an idea. She promptly arrives at her friend's doorstep, announcing she's there to help. Chinatsu excitedly presents a dark, gothic-style dress, declaring it's the perfect outfit for Chihara, who looks on, somewhat taken aback. Chihara's first reaction is that the all-black, long-sleeved outfit is far too hot to wear in the summer. Chinatsu looks on with complete disbelief at her friend's practical concern. She argues that since Mai doesn't sweat, it should be fine, but Chihara quickly corrects her. Chihara explains that sweating makes her makeup wear off, starting around her nose. This practical detail leaves Chinatsu utterly confused. Trying to move past her confusion, Chinatsu brightly changes the subject. Ultimately, they settled on a simple t-shirt and shorts, a fresh look that Kuroki seems to appreciate. On the first day of the new